In the previous slide, I explained how I used my research to design and develop a structured training and implementation system. I called it the 10 Steps Training and Implementation Model. It's allowed my own clients to follow a step-by-step procedure for implementing lean principles into their business. The 10 Steps Training and Implementation Model incorporates the Deming Cycle, or Plan, Do, Check, Act. And it's also supported by a roadmap which identifies competency requirements for different levels of an organization. For example, what kind of training do executives need as opposed to managers, as opposed to employees, etc. In the 10-step procedure, step 1 is strategy deployment. It supports a systematic approach to improve the entire business, not just individual operations, using a go fix it philosophy, as I explained in previous slides. The 10-step system clearly demonstrates that any organization wanting to implement and sustain improvements over the long term doesn't just need to learn about lean tools. It will require them to undergo a major paradigm shift in their organizational culture as well. In this slide, I'll demonstrate the structure of the 10 Steps Training and Implementation Model. On the left of the screen, you can see the 10 steps in a numbered list. I'll go through them each in turn. Step 1, strategy deployment. Step 2, value stream mapping. Step 3, workplace organization. Step 4, improve process flow. Step 5, reduce process downtime. Step 6, implement a pull system. Step 7, balance the workload. Step 8, implement standard work. Step 9, advanced problem solving. Step 10, a lean supply chain. On the right hand side of the screen is an image of the 10 Steps Training and Implementation Model. On the left side of the image, you can see the structure is separated into sections based on the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. You will also notice that I've indicated how the steps are grouped as they perform different functions. I'll explain more about this in detail as we go through the graphic. The first part of it is the planning phase. Step 1, strategy deployment, and Step 2, value stream mapping, are parts of the planning phase of a lean transformation. These two steps help to determine why and where a management team will focus their valuable resources to eliminate waste. The next phase is to improve process velocity. Steps 3, 4, and 5 are procedures needed to improve process velocity by identifying and eliminating waste that is restricting flow. This is achieved by removing unnecessary items and reorganizing the workplace, eliminating bottlenecks or constraints, and reasons for process downtime issues. The next phase is improve process control. Once the processes have been stabilized by implementing steps 3, 4, and 5, we need to use additional tools to control the flow and movement of items in the process. Therefore, Step 6, Step 7, and Step 8 are procedures needed to improve process control. The goal is to control the movement, usage, and replenishment of information, parts, materials, or sub-assemblies, etc., to align with takt time or customer demand. The next part of the process is advanced problem solving. As steps 1 through 8 has been implemented, there will be a need for an improvement team to start to use more advanced problem solving tools. I didn't insert this step earlier in the 10-step model because there is a progressive learning process taking place as teams and organizations move through each of the steps. However, a more experienced team can use these more advanced tools from the start of their lean transformation. The final step or final phase is the lean supply chain. In this final step, which is step 10, we move our focus outside of the organization towards our suppliers and our customers. As I'm sure you'll understand, the success or failure of any lean transformation or any business can be due to your supplier's inability to deliver parts or materials on a consistent basis to match your own customer demand. The goal of step 10 is to implement a lean supply chain to ensure your suppliers are effective in supporting your business so you can deliver your products to your customers on time, every time. Now, this involves connecting suppliers' shipping procedures and customers' ordering and receiving procedures to your organization production and service operations. One way this connection can be effectively done is by implementing Kanban systems. They'll provide a visual indication to your suppliers to let them know when you need your parts and materials replenished. On the other hand, you can connect your shipping department process to your customers' replenishment procedures, for example, to their receiving and production departments. The 10 steps training and implementation model demonstrates the step-by-step procedure for implementing lean tools and techniques during a lean transformation. Now we need a process to show how to train people to the required level or capability so that they can acquire the knowledge of the lean tools and techniques and develop the know-how to implement them. Here's a roadmap diagram to demonstrate the training needs for each level of an organization. Not everyone needs to become a lean expert. However, everyone needs to have a basic understanding of lean concepts and principles. The most effective organizations have their employees do training in the application of basic problem-solving tools. This slide has a larger image of the 10 steps roadmap. So let me just explain a little bit about this roadmap. On the left-hand side of the roadmap, you see phase 1, and then it goes to phase 2 and phase 3. This is at the top of the page. Phase 1 is where you would take the executive management team through some kind of training. What I prefer to do is get them to understand they don't need to be experts. They just need to have a general awareness of lean concepts and principles so that they can actually use the right terminology when they're having a conversation. So the two things that I think that executive management team needs for their training and their level of capability for lean understanding and awareness is the level 1 lean awareness training that I personally developed, and then strategy deployment. So those can be done online. Training for the strategy deployment session is done in-house. So as you can see, there's a procedure there that basically says identify opportunities for improvement and create implementation plan. The outcome is a vision statement. There could be a mission statement as well, a strategic initiatives or a list of them, and then periodic strategy deployment reviews, which would be something like monthly. Some companies do it bi-weekly. And then in the phase 2, we start to do the change agents and the lean facilitators. Now, the 3 levels of training that they would go through online, which means they can do that at any time that they've got spare time in their day. Level 1, lean awareness. Level 2, lean practitioner. And level 3, lean facilitator. The in-house training would be oversight procedures for them to understand what their responsibilities are in terms of oversight of the entire continuous improvement or lean transformation process. The procedure there is to provide lean training and coaching and support for the lean transformation process. So the outcome of this phase is for them to fully understand project oversight, to really understand rapid improvement event planning, and then to do in-house training for all people that are going to come underneath them or that they're going to train themselves, such as improvement team members, etc. The third phase is where we start to look at the improvement team members. Now again, they can do online training, level 1, lean awareness. This is just getting them to understand terminology, concepts, principles. The idea is that when they go through the improvement event, the facilitators should really give them a more in-depth training about the specific tools that they're going to be using during that event. So that's how they learn more about the actual tools themselves. The in-house training is the rapid improvement event, or the Kaizen event procedure, for them to understand what that looks like and how it's scheduled over a period of time. The procedure is cross-functional team that's participating in a scheduled rapid improvement event. The outcome is obviously the rapid improvement results, a rapid improvement report out at the end of that session, and then rapid improvement follow-ups. Remember, I said that in an earlier slide where we do a 30, 60, 90-day follow-ups to make sure that all the action items that were not completed during the rapid improvement event are still being looked at and completed and not just left hanging out there. With all these 3 phases finalized and completed, you've got to remember these are in series, but they can actually be done consecutively in parallel. We get to the Plan, Do, Check, Act part of the process where the implementation is starting to go through that Plan, Do, Check, Act process that I showed in earlier slides for the 3 levels of the lean management system. And you start to develop improvement events, you start to get results, and then you start to take action upon those results. That feedback is then fed into all these different levels through these different phases, and you can actually start to see how the system works. Now go to the bottom of this slide. You can see that phase 1 is all about strategy development. Phase 2 is about core team development to make sure you've got internal capability, because you don't want to be relying on consultants or outside people all the time. It's expensive and it's not cost effective over the long term. You just want to bring outside people in for the short period of time to get everybody trained up and then build that internal capability and have that core team development take place. And then finally, the employee development. They could also do some additional training in terms of problem solving. There may be some key employees that you want to really go through a higher level of training instead of just the lean awareness, who you think are going to move into the lean facilitator or change agent position in the future. So you would want to set them up ready to be able to do that and step into that. So anyway, that's an overview, a very quick overview of the Radical Lean Transformation Roadmap. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. It's designed to be that way. It is constantly changing because we're updating it all the time, because as we add new things to it and new trainings, then we put them into this roadmap.